Welcome back to Kings at the Table podcast, where if you're a king, you belong at the table. And Isaiah, we're got to get into this first week of the All-Star break, or after the All-Star break. And man, there were some good-ass games this last couple weeks.
Yeah, it was a lot of good games. The intensity was up with a lot of these teams. Seen a couple scuffles in a couple of games. So yeah, it's getting real intense now.
You feel like the season's starting to kick off now?
Yeah. This is definitely the beginning of the new season.
How about the new season's pretty much starting, but these goddamn refs still blowing calls.
Man.
That Knicks and Pistons game, Monty Williams was hot for every reason.
I mean, yeah, he had every reason to be upset. I don't understand why they continue to come out with these last 2-minute reports when nothing happens. Like, the refs don't get any disciplinary, they don't get any missed games or anything. And it's just sad to see teams that are actually trying to win games and not tank. Because if I was the Pistons, I wouldn't be trying to win any games. I'll be trying to go for that number one pick. But the fact that they're trying to win games and are trying to be in games and refs are doing stuff like that, it just hurts. And you can see Monty Williams is hurt by it.
Yeah, he's definitely hurt. I mean, one thing I do want to point out is I don't think they're tanking, but at the same time, I think they're scared to be part of history with.
Yeah, definitely. They don't want the worst record,
ever. But at the same time, luckily it was the Pistons. As fucked up as that sounds, because if it was two top teams and you're not going to call that call, and then nothing happens to the refs, kind of how you're saying is like, where's the accountability?
No accountability.
Where does the NBA go from there? Because they already have a pass as far as these refs. I mean, in a way, you're not going to say rigged, but a key part of the game. These late calls.
Definitely. They have all the control. If you think about it, that whistle is a lot of power, and they use it to the best of their ability. And you've seen it the other night in the game, and it sucks because, like you said, they're out there playing their heart out for those wins, and for someone else to have control over the decision of the game, it just what are they out there for?
Yeah, and one thing is we can relate a lot is because last year the Kings were getting screwed over a lot because these 2-minute reports, I mean, they were coming out straight up saying like, yeah, we blew that call, and that affects the seedings. Now, it's the Knicks that won that game. At the same time, I mean, you got the Cavs, other top teams in the East that are like, come on, man, that was a horrible call.
Yeah, that could have helped somebody who's under them. Philadelphia, they could have been looking for that loss. I don't know how many games they are behind.
Just one.
Looks like they're 1.5 games behind. So that could have helped them a lot in the season if they would have lost that game. So just little stuff like that. It affects the whole season, and it affects the matchups and home court advantage and the playoffs. And so I feel like there should be some type of disciplinary for the refs when those last 2-minute reports come out and they have to say like, yeah, we messed up.
What kind of route do you see it going? Like, is it a suspension? Because I know they say like, oh yeah, you get points based on the season as far as we could ref the finals based on like your points throughout the season. How about a suspension though? Like, like that was a horrible call. Maybe you can't,
I mean, yeah, it's either I feel like it should be some type of suspension, or if it's like I feel like the person who's the crew chief should be in charge of that. That should be on them. They should take the disciplinary whatever when it comes, because that's your crew.
Yeah.
So you have to be accountable for what goes on that night in that game.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. Now, what we got to get into real quick is this pressure thing that people are talking about. Is you got two top teams that have a chance to win the finals, but yet at the same time, there's guys that haven't won it yet on these two teams, and we're talking about the Bucks and Clippers. I know we talked about the Clippers last week, but we haven't really got into just pressure. I mean, you have Westbrook, Paul George, and Harden that all haven't won one. Dame with the Bucks hasn't won one. Giannis and Doc. Now, as far as the teams, who has more pressure? To at least get there, and then obviously having to win it.
Yeah. Of course, you got to get there first. Yeah. So, but I feel like it's the Clippers. I honestly feel it's the Clippers. They have a couple of future Hall of Famers on their team, and if they can actually get there and actually win a ring, not only will it like surprise the NBA, but it will surprise the city of Los Angeles. They've been waiting for that for forever.
Forever, hell yeah.
So for them to go out there and actually win a ring in the city of Los Angeles, and then they're going into basically their own arena going into I think it's 2025.
Yes.
Is when they go into their own arena.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to kick it off like that, that'll be something special.
Okay, well, if you have the Clippers, which guy out of all of those has the most pressure? Because they're almost, I mean, they all need one.
Yeah, they all definitely need one, but I feel like Russell Westbrook and James Harden, they're neck and neck because they both have those MVPs, so they're pushing for like Hall of Fame status right now. So if they can get a championship under their belt, that'll push them into the Hall of Fame definitely.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, us as Kings fans, you know, one thing is you got to put it to the side. I mean, you got to respect greatness. And you're talking about
Definitely.
James Harden, you like you just said, MVP. You got Mr. Triple Double, Russell Westbrook, and then we also can't forget about Paul George. I mean, this guy came back from a ridiculous injury.
Yeah, definitely.
And still looking like the old Paul George. I mean, he ain't dunking on guys like he used to, but at the same time, he's pulling up on people.
He definitely adjusted his game and showed that like he can work on his outside game and hit those open shots and even contested shots.
Now, as far as the Bucks, though, out of those three, you got Giannis, Dame, and Doc. Now, we get that Doc and Giannis have won one, and Dame needs one. But if I had to choose one, I'm going to go with Giannis. And it sounds crazy when I first started looking into it, and I'm like, who am I going to go with? And I'm saying Giannis? Like, Giannis already won one. Yeah. But at the same time, he brought that team together. I mean, he asked for the coach prior to Doc, and then he gets him fired to get Doc.
Yeah.
Through midseason, you ask for Dame, you get Dame. I mean, that's a top 75 player of all time.
Definitely, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, the pressure should be on Dame, but Giannis, you better show up.
Yeah, you got to. But I feel like with Dame, Dame is built different. So I feel like he's always just needed that second player. So now that he's got that in Giannis, you're right. The pressure is on Giannis. He has to show up because Dame is going to show up. I don't want to say never, but Dame's always shown up when Portland needed him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what time it is.
Yeah, he's always on time.
Yeah.
So like he just always needed that player that came in and assisted him when it wasn't enough. So now that he has that player, Giannis has to show up.
Let's say the Bucks do win. I mean, hypothetically, but I just kind of want to get into just Dame's legacy. I mean, it's early, obviously, but I'm a huge Dame fan. Yeah. And it's like, this is his chance. So that's why it's a thin line between the pressure of Giannis and Dame because, Dame, you do got your guy now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, go get that damn ring. It's right there.
It's so crazy. Funny story. Marin High School, it was a Christmas tournament we always used to go to at Natomas High. We ended up playing Dame in Oakland Wildcats.
What?
Yeah. We were up, I think, around like 15 at halftime. And that's when we found out what Dame time was. I found out what Dame time was my junior year of high school. Yeah.
How much he put up?
I don't remember exactly how much he put up, but I remember they wasn't down 15 for long after they came back from halftime.
Dame time, huh?
Yeah, it was Dame time. Right from the get go.
Hell yeah.
And we learned quick, and that's when people knew, like, even though he was an underrated player and he didn't go to a high D1, he had that it factor. Like he's always had that it factor.
That's what's up, man. It's good to know that he had it from the beginning too. Yeah. You know, it's not like he just got it. And that's usually how it is with the it factor. You know, Definitely. It's just you have it in you.
Definitely.
And one thing that, I mean, obviously, so are you going Dame or Giannis?
I'm going Giannis. Doc? It's Giannis. It's definitely Giannis.
Most pressure?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's get into another team real quick as far as, it's in a way it's pressure too because it's not just the player that has pressure, but I think the team now. I think the Mavericks have pressure of trying to help Luka win a championship. Now, I'm not quite sure what direction they're going. Now, I get you traded for Kyrie, and you're bringing some cool role players. Now, they got a good, solid team. But one thing that gets me is, like, I think the bigger picture. Like, it sounds like a hard critic, but at the same time, we're talking greatness. Like, we're not here to just talk about a one-season thing. Luka has a chance to be an all-time great. Are they ruining his career?
I don't want to say they're ruining it, but they definitely got it off to the wrong start. I feel like Luka was one of those players that you get in and you surround him with what he needs immediately, and you try to win immediately, because even though he's a great player and he's still pretty young, he's been pro since he was 16, 17. So it's a lot of miles on that body. So you don't know how long he's going to be able to go. So you want to utilize that as quick as possible, like as soon as you get it. So I definitely think they've done him a disservice since he's been there, because they haven't really accomplished anything.
Like they try to get the pieces. I mean, they had Porzingis. I mean, you know, and you kind of see what he's doing with the Celtics, but Porzingis is more like a third and fourth person to plug in, and that's no disrespect, because he's a hell of a player still, you know. But now the Mavericks, like, what direction do you see them going as far as like how are they trying to build their team? Like, if you were to break down the Mavericks right now, you know, obviously they got Kyrie, they went for PJ Washington, but what's the identity that they're trying to build? You see?
I mean, everybody's saying it's Luka ball. That's what they call it. It's Luka
Straight
ball.
ISO?
Yes. I mean, shooters get to the corners, get a guy in the dunk spot, and let Luka work his magic. It's Luka magic.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get that. I mean, yeah, let him cook.
Yeah, that's what I see when I watch the Mavericks play. I mean, of course you got Kyrie now, but Kyrie is a ball dominant guy. So when him and Luka are on the court together, Kyrie's just standing there, because I'm not saying he doesn't work well off the ball, but it's hard for him to get shots off the ball. His shots come from ISO and dribble drive and late in the shot dribble clock and stuff like that. So it's hard to pair those two, but it's semi working for them. But I don't think you're going to win a championship with those two together.
Now, then the reason I'm bringing them up is because I feel like what the Mavericks are definitely trying to do is trying to kind of see how LeBron came up. And, you know, they seen that Kyrie and LeBron worked out and they got themselves a ring. I get the whole comparison of LeBron, but he's not that athletic as LeBron.
Yeah.
Now, Luka's great. Like, he's going to, I hope he's going to be a champion one day, because I like Luka and the way he plays the game as far as his IQ and knowing the right play at all times.
Yeah.
But his defense is what they need. They need him to step up defense. So I think for the Mavericks, you got to get a defensive team. Not just that, but you have to get guys, like you're saying, that could shoot around the three.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to have to eventually – I don't know if Luka's going to want to stay there.
No, I feel like he has such a good relationship with Mark Cuban, and that's what helps, but that only goes so far. So they're going to have to figure something out, because if I'm Luka, I'm starting to look elsewhere and starting to think like, dang, why wasn't I that good when I had Porzingis looking at the Celtics? Like, man, like, why am I not as good as when LeBron had Kyrie? Like, why are we not gelling like that? Like, what's going on? Like, so you start to, I don't want to say doubt yourself, but you start to
question.
Yeah, you start to question, like, is it me, or do I need to find a new environment?
One guy or one team I got to bring up is the Spurs. Can you imagine Luka and Wemby?
I don't want to imagine Luka and Wemby together, bro.
That shit would be the most cheatest duo,
man.
And you know Popovich is thinking of something already.
You know, he's just like Belichick.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like it's devious. He's behind the scenes, but everybody knows like what's going on and what his plot is, but everybody's too afraid to say it.
And also 2 steps behind of what he's already thinking. Like, you think he's going to do that, next thing you know, he's landing Luka.
Flip the switch.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, goddamn. But since we're talking about head coaches, let's go straight into Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat. I mean, we just saw what they did to the Kings with like 8 players out. But at the same time, it's just the Miami Heat, man. Their identity has been Heat there culture. For years. There you go, Heat culture.
Yep.
And How do they do it? Is it head coach?
I feel like it's from the top to the bottom. So when you got a head coach that started as like the video guy and has worked his way all the way up to the head coach and has won not one but 2 championships and proved that like he belongs in that seat, you play for him. You want to play for him. And not only that, when you see the guy that's sitting up in the stands signing the checks.
Now we talking.
With Pat Riley.
Yeah.
Historic type of figure in the basketball community, like it's like this is what I dreamed of. This is what I've always wanted to do. I've heard that name so many times. Pat Riley, like I'm gonna play my heart out. He knows what he's talking about.
For sure. It's, in a way, it's almost like playing for Phil Jackson. I mean, he's right up there.
Phil Jackson, Pat Riley. It's like 1A, 1B.
You can't even say who's better at that point because, I mean, you can go. I'm not even going to get sidetracked because you go Jordan, Kobe, how Phil Jackson
the same way. Yep.
But as far as how Pat Riley knows how to build a team, the way, the Heat culture, it's a dog mentality. Like those guys are diving at balls. Their defense is they're playing with their heart.
Yeah.
You know, and even though they got the IQ and they got a shot down or, you know, a steal, at the end of the day, they're just playing with their heart.
Yeah, it's you find the right fit for your team and what you want to do. Because they don't always play the same way. Every year it's not always the same way. But it's kind of like when Deion Sanders was explaining the difference between the defensive line and the offensive line. And he was like, my offensive line, I want the 2-parent household, nice kid, you know, blah, blah, blah. Defensive line, single parent, one mama.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Dog. Yeah, that's how he broke it down. D-line, I want a dog. I want somebody who come from a single household and single parent household and gotta go get it.
Yeah.
Them O-line, I want somebody, you know, that's organized, nice and clean, you know, come ready, prepared, professional. Somebody's taught them how to play the game and this and this and that. And that's how you build your team. You look at what you have and you say, okay, this is my main player. This is what he works best with, and this is what I'm going to surround him with, and that's how we going to win games.
And the guy that's leading the team is Jimmy Butler. Does he fit everything you just got Dan said?
Jimmy Butler is all of the above. Because what's so funny is Jimmy Butler lived both of those lives. He came from dog mentality, from having to fend for himself, and then eventually worked his way into a stable situation.
Understanding.
And then got to where it's like, okay, so this is how you be professional and sell yourself. And now you look at him and he's literally the best of both worlds. Like, it's like Jimmy Buckets is a surreal person, because it's like, how are you such a dog on the court, but off the court you carry yourself in such a amazing manner?
Definitely.
Like,
yeah. I mean, in a way, I mean, shit, he could be the face of the NBA. I mean, he's a little older, but at one point, if there was no LeBron and Durant and Curry, I mean, it sounds crazy, but Jimmy Butler is that guy that you want for your franchise.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's definitely the number one selling jersey.
He's marketable.
Yeah, marketable.
Definitely
there we
marketable.
Go. Now, as far as the standings in the East Coast, one thing we do forget a lot is they were just in the NBA Finals last year. Now, do the Heat have a chance to maybe upset the Boston Celtics, the Bucks? I mean, I wouldn't even say the Knicks, because they could even pass the Knicks going forward throughout the season. I mean, they're only 2 games behind the Knicks.
They got to stay healthy. Right now, they're not healthy. I know they ended up beating the Kings with only 8 players, but they got to stay healthy.
That was due to suspension, too.
Yeah. That it's so crazy, like, looking at West Coast and East Coast basketball, because it's the same league, but the play style is so different. With those East Coast teams, it's like defensive mentality. They all like want to keep the score under 100. They want to like, it's so crazy. They got a lot of mid-range game in the East Coast, and the West Coast is like, let's run, let's do this. The only difference is the Pacers in the East Coast. They want to run, they want to get up and down. But if you look at all the other teams, they want to play a half-court game.
That's a good point. Yeah. I like what you're saying there, because, yeah, that's definitely more of a defensive conference.
Yeah.
As far as, I mean, you look at the West Coast, you can name a couple teams. I mean, the Nuggets are up there and all.
Yeah, defensively.
Timberwolves.
But if you look at everybody else,
that's about it.
They want to get up and down and run. They want to shoot threes. And
so are you telling me that maybe the East Coast is going to represent the finals this year?
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to represent the finals, but that's finals type basketball.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's definitely finals type basketball.
So in a way, we might have better matchups in the East Coast than the West Coast as far as close games throughout the series. Because if it's defense, I mean, you're looking at possessions at that point. You're not looking at, oh, I'll win this game by 10, the next game I lose, and going back and forth. That's more consistent.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. If you look at the West Coast series last year, for example, the Kings and the Warriors, it was like that. Okay, one team won a game by 10, next game win a game by, and then it went to a game 7, and then it's like, okay, Curry saved me. Like,
50 points.
Yeah. Like, so it's just weird. I was thinking about it the other day, like, and the Kings, if you look at it, we struggle against a lot of the East Coast teams because we don't understand how they're physical, and we can't play that half court game, and it's hard to shoot 38 threes a game when you're only getting, I guess, 80-75% of the possessions you would get in a regular game. So like, and then on top of that, you're not making them because they're playing defense on you till 2 seconds left in the shot clock, and then you're throwing up a 3 at the end of the shot clock, just hoping it goes in instead of working your offense. And so it's just it's hard
for sure. Well, let's get straight into the Kings then. I mean, let's get right into it. The last 2 games, we just lost to the Heat, but prior to that, we had a hell of a game in LA. We beat the Clippers, and the Clippers isn't no team to just say that we beat them. I mean, that's a top tier team, and I know they were missing Paul George.
Yep.
But at the same time, we won.
Yeah.
And one thing about our fan base, I don't know if this is how you feel, Isaiah, but a lot of people were mad about the loss last night to the Miami Heat, which, I mean, I feel like we should have won that because of the guys that were out. But at the same time, I mean, it's kind of like devil's advocate. But if you would have lost to the Clippers and then beat the Heat, it's the same split.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, is it to overreact of the loss?
I just feel like a lot of people are, I mean, I don't want to say a lot of people are doing it. I feel like I overreacted to the loss the other night because I'm tired of them losing at home. They got to learn how to protect home court. And they've let not only the Heat come in shorthanded and beat them, but I believe it was the Hornets that came in shorthanded and beat them as well. So it's like we can't do that. We can't be world beaters on the road and then get punked in our own home. We gotta learn how to win games at home. So I feel like, and I can't remember what other game that was when the crowd started booing. What game was that?
It had to be the Pistons.
It was the Pistons.
We lost to the Pistons. Like, you can't lose to the Pistons.
It was
man.
the Pistons.
But, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's when you can't lose.
I feel like if we would have lost to the Pistons on the road, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. It was the fact that we let the Pistons come into our home knowing that they're the worst team in the NBA and we're trying to make a playoff push this year and we lose to them.
Yeah.
You got some of the best fans in the NBA. You got to protect your home court.
I would say if we would have lost in Detroit, I think our fan base would still be pissed.
I mean, yeah,
but I get what you're saying about the home court. Like, definitely, you got to defend home court. But one thing I got to ask is, I don't know if our team is that dog team. Like, I don't think it is, man. And the thing is, we're more of a finesse team. And it's okay. That's just our identity. But you have to master that identity. Like, if you want to be finesse, bring that finesse every night. Even if it's a dog team coming in, you better find a way to get open and move the ball around. Keep moving that damn ball around. Like, don't hold it and try to create one-on-one because that's not your damn identity. You're playing into their identity. And that's not what's going to win you those games.
Yeah.
Now, I get it. You if you're not that physical team, how do you expect to beat a physical team?
I mean, I feel like we only turn into a dog team once De'Aaron gets a tech.
A tech?
Yeah, once he get a tech, then he turn into Mad Fox, and then he start to go off. But other than that, I just feel like we gotta learn that the three isn't always going to save us. I feel like we get too comfortable taking those shots during the game.
Live and die.
Yeah, and it just leads us down the road. Like, instead of taking the best shot for the possession, we take the open shot on the possession. And sometimes you got to turn down a good shot to get a great shot. And I feel like sometimes we don't do that. Sometimes we take the first good shot. Like I think it was one night. No, it was the last night against Miami. Davion Mitchell dribbled up the court. Didn't run the offense, nothing. Nobody was guarding him, and he just
pulled up.
Yeah, and it's like, goddamn, bro, like, that's a possession.
Like, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. You open, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you work on that, but get a good shot.
Yeah.
Get a better shot. Not that. You can get that whenever.
But I also feel like that's the coach. I mean, I think like Mike Brown's has been saying that all season. He's been saying, you're open, you shoot it.
Yeah, you open, you shoot it.
And he's okay with that because I feel like he understands that that's the identity that we have to go with based on the roster that we have.
Yeah.
It's like we're not going to be able to compete with the physical teams trying to be physical. Like, you're just going to have to shoot that open shot.
You got to start giving people the green light, though. It's only certain people that if you got that shot, you shoot it. Like,
Yeah.
I understand. Like I said, you work on that. But time and place.
Yeah.
Like, if it's the fourth quarter, you shooting that shot, it's like, come on. First quarter, it's like, all right, you trying to get a feel for the game. But you can't take that shot.
Well, with you saying that, though, I mean, do you have to put some blame on Brown, though? Because why do you have him in the game? Because then at the same time, that coach is saying, hey, back off. Give him that open shot.
Yeah.
And at some time, what do you think? Mitchell's not going to shoot it? He going to have to.
Yeah, he going to have to shoot it. But if at that point, you got to make it.
Okay, yeah.
You gotta make it.
Yeah, for sure.
I know it's easier said than done. Like, I'm not saying, like, I can go out there and make the shot.
Come on, you could do that.
You gotta make it. I need like 3 months. You give me 3 months working out, like, consistently, I can make that shot.
For sure.
But, like, that's what I'm saying. You gotta make it. You take it, you gotta make it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get into these next two games that we're about to get into. Next two games that we have ahead of us is the Nuggets in Denver and in Minnesota against the Timberwolves. Those are the two of the top three teams in the West. Now, how do you think we could match up with the Nuggets?
I honestly think we match up well with the Nuggets. I believe this is the last time we play them for the year, and if we beat them, I think we sweep them. So they're definitely gonna come out and play their asses off.
They're gonna have to.
Yeah, they playing their asses off because I think it'll be the first time ever in our history that we swept the defending champs in the season.
That's news to me. I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So like they gonna play their asses off.
Kind of how like if we were to play the Pelicans, we got to get that win.
Yeah.
Same thing?
Basically,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yes, because, man, bro, if we lose to the Pelicans again, bro, I don't know. I don't know what, man.
Now,
oh, my God.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it, because they've blown us out 3 times.
For sure. They got our number for sure. The Nuggets, though, with Jokic, I know Jamal Murray's is still trying to get back into the groove. But one thing about them is they're very deep, their bench. And Mike Malone doesn't get as much credit as he deserves, though. I mean, I know he just won the finals, but I think he's a hell of a coach. Very defensive-minded. I mean, he came from the Kings. Yep. We understood that he was a great coach at the time. Yeah. And I still, till this day, can't believe we just moved on like that.
They wanted Luke Walton.
Man, that's a trip. It's like, bruh. Yeah. So, the Timberwolves, though. How do we match up with them?
That's another. I think that one's more even than any of the other matchups, I feel like. Because I feel like it all depends on how not our second unit, but how our role players come to play. Because I feel like we have better role players than them, but ours just aren't as consistent. So when Kevin Huerter and like Keegan show up, and not even just Keegan and and Kevin, but Harrison Barnes as well. When those three show up, like you've seen it against the Clippers, those three had decent games. So when that happens, we can beat anybody.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean,
we can beat anybody.
Yeah.
Like, but it's just a matter of, is it gonna be consistent, and what night is it coming?
And I don't even think you're really even asking for all three of them to be on that same night. If you just have maybe one with Sabonis and Fox, and you could throw maybe Monk in there because Monk's consistent.
For the most part, he had that little slump a little bit during the season where he went MIA
for a little bit.
Yeah, but he found his way back.
So you think we match up really well with the Timberwolves?
I think we match up well with the Timberwolves.
So are you seeing a split? Are you seeing 2-0 or 0-2? How do you see it going these next two games?
Who we play first? We play Denver
the Nuggets
first, right?
Tomorrow.
Play the Nuggets tomorrow, and then do we get a day off or?
Let's check it out. I think you get 3 days off.
3 days off. Ooh,
that's some time. And then you get another 3 days off against the Bulls.
I don't want to say 1-1 to be safe, but I don't want to say 2-0 and sound like
a homer.
Yeah, it sound like a
He's
homer.
I don't want to sound 0-2 to be.
Right?
He's I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I think we're going to split. I think we'll lose to Denver and beat Minnesota.
Lose to Denver, beat Minnesota?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll start a little run.
I'm going to go the opposite. I say you beat Denver and lose to Minnesota. Only because the way we just lost to the Heat, I think we're going to carry that into this next game. Just that little fourth quarter run that we had.
Yeah.
Carry it into the next game. But yeah, I mean, what other things do we got, Isaiah? You think that's about it?
Yeah, man. I don't really got much. There's not much going on in the NBA now except, like I said, intensity picking up. You start to see these players start to fight for their playoff spots, and everybody trying to solidify their legacy now.
And trying to go up in seedings. It's more of a seeding thing from here on now, and you're going to start seeing a lot of playoff basketball.
Oh, yeah. Playoffs started once the All-Star break, especially in the West Coast because everybody's so close in numbers, so...
That's right.
You lose 2-3 games in a row, you might be out. So everybody coming with their A game.
For sure. Isaiah, what do we always say on this show?
If you're a king,
you belong at the table. Make sure you like, share, and comment. All right, y'all. Gone.